Good day to everybody in TV land. This is Mike Hittner with Historic Point Basse Update. Today joining me to my right, Larry Knutson. Welcome, Larry.
Good morning, or good day.
Yes. And we're sitting here right on the back steps of the cabin, trader's cabin on our site. I know you haven't seen us for probably about 3 months now, and we hope that you're all safe and the COVID-19 hasn't affected your families. But of course, March 28th we had our sugar bush, but we canceled that because of the concerns for the public and the concerns for our volunteers that worked the event, and we didn't have that. And also the Pioneer Festival, which is June 13th and 14th, that has also been canceled just out of concern for the public and for our volunteers. So we wanted just to hope that everybody out there is healthy. All of us are doing well as far as we know. A little benefit, and Larry and I and Don Matthews, who's filming this, know that for sure. A little bit of the benefit for it is our Monday morning group has been working steadily right through, because basically we're out in the open, and we're usually, Larry and I are a little closer than normal, but we're normally 4, 5, 6 feet away from each other. So we've been continuing to work, and as any of you know as homeowners, if you got buildings, you got eternal maintenance, and we have certainly, folks, eternal maintenance down here. We want to talk about one upcoming event, actually kind of excited about it, on July 25th from 2 to 5 p.m. It's a Saturday. We're going to have Whodunit. I talked to Luke Conkle, he's the one that writes it, a young man that's been with us since Spirit Walks when he was in high school, and he lives over in Denmark, Wisconsin, over by Green Bay. And he's going ahead with it. We'll have at least eight characters, and we hope to see you out on July 25th for Whodunit. So that's our first event since Winter Feast. So we're looking forward to it. I think everybody will be kind of anxious to get out and do something. And what's nice about Whodunit, it doesn't have a lot of people there, so the spacing is usually pretty good, and we don't have to worry about that sort of thing. I think the Wood County has talked about events after the 1st of July can be up to 100 or more, and our people kind of come and go, so our event won't be too big. But July 25th, 2 to 5 p.m. Whodunit, so keep that on your schedule, mark it on your calendars, or check our website. It's a good place to go. So we want to talk a little bit about what's going on down here and what we've been doing. So we're going to take you over to our Heritage Garden. We'll take a look at that. Right in front of you is our prairie. This year, at this point anyway, doesn't look too mature at all. It hasn't been burnt in a couple of years, and I guess we'll have to burn it this fall. It's really, I would say, behind normally. And then of course right to the left of that is our warehouse, as you can see as we're walking by here. Eagle Scout project to do the chinking on it and everything, so that was kind of a nice project that helped us a lot. But mostly used right now for storage. Of course, in Wakely's day, that's what it was. People coming up and down the river stored stuff here before they went overland, because of course the rapids start at Point Basse going northward. Now we're coming a little closer. You can see the fence we put up last year around the Heritage Garden. This is a garden that's done by volunteers of Point Basse, and they've got most everything planted this year. We'll take a look in there and see if we can identify most of the things. I think that by sight we'll be able to identify most of it. Well, on this end, of course, we can see rows of potatoes. 1, 2, 3, 4 rows of potatoes. Not exactly certain what's across them. I can see cabbages up there where the marigold is, and it looks like either some volunteer potatoes over there or something like a potato. A little further up is tomatoes. A little further looks like 6, maybe 8 tomatoes, heritage tomatoes. And then we have some beans, I think way up there.
Cucumbers.
Cucumbers. There's supposed to be some beets in here. Maybe cauliflower or something over here with that looks like a cabbage look to it. There's peppers in there, I can see, in between the potatoes and the tomatoes. Peppers in there. I don't think they're going to have any Three Sisters. You can see some onions over here right next to the fence. So this is all done by volunteers. It's
some squash along here.
Yeah, squash along there. They got a little chicken wire for it to climb up on. but done by volunteers. We're very thankful for that because in the past we were really good at planting, but we weren't too much on weeding. Now we do have water hookup for it. We just put that in last week. It comes out of the river. We got permission from the DNR to come out of the river, but they can come here and irrigate it a half an hour, hour a day, whatever they like to do, depending on how warm it is and how often it's been raining. So let's go over. We're going to go a little bit to the north, and we're going to go by the house, and we got something new to show you there. Kind of a surprise to all of us, but it was a pleasant surprise. And you can see by the front porch there, just to the north of the front porch, is herb garden, kitchen garden. They put it here, and they've got some sticks for things either to let things crawl on or to keep the rabbits out. But I see
There's some comfrey back there.
comfrey in the back. There's lamb's ear. I don't know exactly what everything is. I guess I'm not the master of this sort of thing, but
A goodly portion of it is for medicinal purposes.
just as much as eating. And I can see they put a little row of straw around it. We were wondering kind of where that straw went, and that's where it went. And you can see our rain barrel over there. We've been catching rain off of the gutters here. And so herb garden, a medicinal garden, or a kitchen garden would have been right off the door, because they would have come out, snip, snip, and took it in the house, not have to walk to the regular garden. Now, when you saw our regular garden with a fence around it, in the Wakely's day especially, the fences were to keep the domestic animals out. It wasn't worrying about deer. It was the cows and the pigs and the sheep were moseying into the garden and eating all the produce. So that wasn't kosher in those days. So, and you can see we got a little survey stake over here to our north. We just had resurveyed some of it. We're working now with the town of Saratoga and Wood County to put a blue landing in at the end of Wakely Road. Now, a blue landing is a landing for kayaks, canoes, non-motorized type of watercraft. And what we're hoping to do with the town and with the county is to put a little turning area at the end of Wakely Road, big enough so that they could turn their trailers around here, their canoe trailers or kayak trailers, unload them, and then we'll walk you down to the river to show you where it goes. But this has to be developed. You can see some trees were taken out and some stakes. That's kind of showing us the right-of-way, and then we'll show you where it goes down to the river where you could bring your canoes and kayaks. It's I think it's an ideal project to combine the natural resources we have here at the site plus the history to do a blue landing, and so I think it was a win-win for both us and town of Saratoga and Wood County. So these buttresses and some of these things will be removed in the near future, and you can see the trail that they'll use going down to the river. Some of this is on right-of-way, road right-of-way, and the rest is on Wakely, Historic Point Basse land. And you can see just in the distance the river through the trees. We're going down now when the water is kind of back to normal. We were down here 2 weeks ago, and the river was high at that time, and so we didn't put the pump in for the water for the Heritage Garden because the river was too high, but last week we did that. And you can see now we're going to turn towards the west, and this is going to be widened out, and this will be the trail into the area where there'll be the landing for the canoes and kayaks, blue landing as they call it. We'll widen this out and it'll be a little nicer trail than this. And then they come down here to actually what I would call somewhat of a sandy beach, and then you can walk out probably 50, 60 feet here and you'll probably be up to your waist at most. The river goes kind of very gradually out here, so it's a beautiful place to launch your kayak or canoe, so I think it'll be a nice asset. Now, the town of Saratoga on the far south end of the town, they also have another landing down there just north of Adams County, where people could put in here and go out there, or vice versa. So this will be a nice addition to their, and it'll be put on the different maps of the area. You can see our water out there with that little bottle floating out. That's where we pump the water from. And then we're gonna take you just down the trail. We got, I don't know if you know, but Domtar deeded to us 12.9 acres of land to the north of our site. And it's basically between the river and the first person on Wakely Road after the bridge. From there, and it goes about 750, 800 feet to the north. So we'll walk down that trail and give you an idea of how much extra land that is. 12.9 acres is kind of hard to visualize it, but with this extra 750 or 800 feet, we should have about 2,000 feet on the river frontage. I think it's a nice addition. We don't have any plans to develop this up here. This is probably be just maybe some historic trails. It certainly is the old Portage to Plover Road that follows along the river that was in use at the time of the Wakeleys.
Was that the Pinery Road?
Pinery Road, right. Went right through here, right up this hill. Came right past the Wakeleys' house, and of course their inn was just to our north here. And then it went right up here, and the Wakely Inn was just up in this area. And then the trail followed all the way to Plover, Wisconsin, right along the Wisconsin River here.
You were saying one time that it goes along the Bullseye Country Club too, wasn't it?
Yes, yes. You can see it's kind of a nice little trail, and if you could just imagine, close your eyes a little bit, and you could imagine 150, 170 years ago, wagons, horses people would be going along this trail. This was their route to get from one site to the next, because Point Basse is the low point on the river. The rapids start after Point Basse, so about every 4 or 5 miles we got more rapids in the river, so you got to keep portaging all those, and so they wouldn't be very handy. So most people were going overland. It's a beautiful piece of nature here, and we're certainly appreciative to Domtar for the gift. It's something that we had a leasehold on 30 years ago, and then Great Northern Pacific and Georgia Pacific got sold, and eventually Domtar got it. And we were in negotiations with Domtar, and we wanted to thank the mill manager and Craig Tim especially. This came down since we were up here last time.
Part of our maintenance.
Yes, part of our utility maintenance. But anyway, we've been working with Craig Tim off and on from Domtar for about 20 years about obtaining some more of this land, and they were kind enough to give it to us. Now, some people would say, oh, why didn't they give you more or something? Well, the problem is that after about where our land stops here that they gave it, it becomes FERC land. It's Federal Energy Regulatory Commission land because of the dam and the hydro plant. And what that means is it has to go through all kinds of federal guidelines for getting it out of that land and giving it to somebody else, and it's a big rigmarole. This one could be just done between Domtar, local Domtar, the mill manager, and us. You didn't even have to go to Montreal. So that was a benefit for us.
We were always kind of concerned that someone might develop this land and it would turn our quite unique site into something where it's similar to many other historic sites where you have modern buildings close to the site.
Well, we've all been, and many of our schools still go up to Green Bay Heritage Hill, surrounded by a highway. River on one side, but the highway kind of circles right around it. And I don't think there's anything, when you're getting these kids talking about the old days and what they did and how they did it, that takes them out of that when the cars go by or something. I think it just is kind of disconcerting. So, and then right up here you can see a post in a kind of a pink ribbon, and that's the extent of the 750 feet or whatever it is in width. And of course it goes from the river to the nearest property by the bridge on Wakely Creek. So
this hiking trail goes probably about another 2 times longer than we went from the house to here.
all the way up to the old sledge pits or
Yes.
whatever.
And it's not illegal to go on it. You just have to behave yourself, basically, you know, and respect the area.
And as you can see, every once in a while a tree or something falls across the trail and they have to clean it up. But so we hope in the near future, in the long term, to make some use of this for trails and that sort of thing. I don't think we'll develop anything up in this area. Some people have talked about, well, you want to recreate the inn. Well, if the inn slept 200 people, even in those days they slept kind of like cordwood, but still 200 people is a lot of people. That's a bigger project, I think, than our average age of our Monday group is about 68, 69, so I don't think there's anybody that's got that much ambition anymore to do that type of project. In fact, we'd like to invite any of you listening, if maybe you're kind of wondering, what can I do? I'd like to do something. Monday, we welcome anybody who wants to come down. They can swing a hammer or use a shovel or anything like that, or a rake. I mean, we've always got projects.
Clear brush or clear trails.
Yes, and soon we'll start on the trader's cabin where we started, because we have to put a new roof on it. In fact, we have the cedar, the rough cut cedar shingles that are treated, and we'll put those up probably, I would say, within another week or two, start on that project, which normally takes us about 2 to 3 weeks to finish. We don't work every day on it, but 2 or 3 days a week. So there's always plenty to do down here, and it doesn't matter if you got any special capabilities. We have a few of us, not me included, but a few of us are mechanically inclined or carpenters or something in their profession. They tell us where to put the nail, and we put the nail where they want it to. So anybody can help out here. It's not limited to just a few people, and I don't think really even have to be a member to help out if you wanted to help. Though I personally would be willing to pay for membership if somebody wanted to come down here and help, and I'd be glad to pay for their memberships. So.
Yes, that would be a good. That's a good idea. As a little bit of a benefit. I would like to just if you really do want to see what a inn looked like, the Wade House has one that's a very good example of what we mean by communal sleeping. The first 2 stories are maintenance people and people that live there steady, and then on the very 3rd floor, there's 8 rooms on each, like 4 on each side, but the most of the people slept in a big area in the middle. And I know it's kind of hard to imagine, especially with the social distancing we had now, but like Mike says, they slept like cordwood.
Yeah.
They just,
cheek and jowl, I mean.
Cheek and jowl. Yes,
yeah. What they had, my understanding at the Wakely's Historic Point Basse's Inn was they had 2 major rooms. They had a downstairs where they had food and they had beverages and that sort of thing, and maybe sold a little bit of goods if people were coming through, if they needed some merchandise or something. But overall, they had a room for women and children, and they had 1 room for men. And they just put their bedrolls or whatever down on the floor, and they slept there. It was out of the weather, and you could get something to eat there, and so that was good. Larry found himself a nice hiking stick here, so.
Found another project for us too.
Oh, there's a tree down on a pretty large
I've
tree.
seen that up there.
Oh, yes.
That's a widowmaker.
Widowmaker here.
Yeah, it's definitely going to come down pretty soon.
Yeah, that's another project. So, I'd like to thank Larry Knutson to being our guest today on Historic Point Basse Update, and for Don Matthews for filming it for us today. And we're sorry we haven't been there for 2 or 3 months, but we couldn't really go in the studio, so we're doing it down at the site. But
thank you for watching.